Alright guys, so I want to start this video with saying I've actually had a lot of fun lately getting back into IEMs and headphones and not necessarily just covering true wireless earbuds. So the pair of IEMs that we're going to check out today, which is the Simgot EA500, it's a pretty interesting pair, and I think it's kind of like the true wireless earbud market. Once you get into IEMs that are under $100, I mean, it's a pretty flooded market. I mean, it is hard to stand out. This pair comes in at $79, but it does have an interesting trick up its sleeve, which we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about what all comes inside the box. We're going to talk about the sound and see if it's worth the $79 price tag. And I'm going to go ahead and say this honestly may be some of the best sound that I've heard under $100 on anything, on any speaker, on any earbuds, on any headphones. But again, the interesting trick that this pair has is you can actually take the nozzle off the IEM and switch it out with a pair that they've also included in the box, and it gives you two different sound signatures. They also give you the little rings. This also adds for the longevity of the IEMs, because if you're going to be switching these things out, obviously it's going to be easy to wear these rings out, but they give you plenty of extras inside the box. Now, the IEMs themselves actually have an all-metal body with a mirror plastic casing. They're using 10mm dual magnetic circuit and dual cavity drivers. All of this plays into the sound, which we'll talk about a little bit later. It is also using a 4th gen DLC composite diaphragm, which really affects the treble on this pair. And again, I think that's what makes this pair really stand out, which again, we will talk about in just a minute. And also in the box, they give you a nice hard zippered case so that you're able to keep your IEMs in. Also the extra nozzle, those extra rubber fittings. It also comes with 3 sets of silicone ear tips, and the cable that's included is a silver plated coiled cable. These are using the 2-pin connectors, so that's pretty universal. I have plenty of cables lying around here that use that connection, and on the other end it is using a normal 3.5mm headphone jack plug-in. So there's no 1/4-inch adapter that's included in here. I thought that was kind of interesting because a lot of people that use IEMs or higher end headphones or anything like that do use amps or DACs that have that 1/4-inch plug-in, but luckily you don't necessarily have to use an amp with this pair. It has a very low impedance level of only 16 ohms, so you technically could just plug this into any phone, any tablet, or your laptop. You're going to get plenty of volume out of it, but I do still recommend using a DAC or an amp so that you can get the most out of the frequencies. This is how you really get the most out of what you're listening to, and not necessarily just based off volume. So get an amp if you really want to be able to pull out a lot of the bass, the mids, and the treble, and just, you know, have a lot better separation between those frequencies, because as it is just plugging straight in, even though you're going to get good volume, you're just not going to get as comparable sound as you would plugged into an amp. Now, the IEMs themselves just have a really nice clean look to them. I do like the metallic finish. I do like that the cable is also a clear look, so everything just looks like it matches perfectly. If you're not really used to using IEMs, sometimes the cable just stands out from the IEM itself, or it just doesn't look like it goes together. I do like the look of these. They're very comfortable. The ear hooks are extremely flexible, so it's not one of those that has that stiff feeling that can rub your ears or just get uncomfortable over time. So I was really happy with the way that these fit. Now, moving straight into talking about the sound quality. Now, I'm going to talk about them mainly the way that they sound out of the box, and the nozzle that they use, they're also using the red ring, and I'm going to show both graphs here so that you can see that there is 2 different sound signatures depending on which nozzle you're using. But the one that they use out of the box tends to lean a little bit more towards having that usual like Harman curve. It does have some really nice punch in the low end, but it is extremely fast. This isn't lazy bass. This isn't like subwoofer type bass that hits and just kind of sits around. And that's the type of bass that usually just rolls over your mids and highs, and that does not happen here. I mean, it hits and it moves on to the next hit. So that makes it fun for genres like metal, where the drums may be fast. You're going to feel the impact of each hit of the drums. And the mids are pushed slightly forward so that vocalists stand out. The difference between both nozzles here, though, is if you switch it over to the other one with the black nozzle, it's actually bringing out female vocalists a little more. And I felt that that was kind of strange, but it is definitely something noticeable. Both of these have nice bright treble, but the ones with the black nozzle actually has a little bit brighter treble where it gets right to that point of being harsh. And some people might actually consider it to be harsh, but the ones that come on it right out of the box, the treble has a nice bright sound. It's not as close to being harsh, but it definitely has a really good balance with the punchy bass that these have. And again, I feel like the mids sound excellent across all genres. I was just so pleased with the sound signature that I was getting these, especially considering they're only $79. And the same thing with the sound stage and the sound imaging. This sounds like a very wide open earbud, and being able to tell where things are coming from, this pair does an excellent job with. So going straight into breaking this down into the different genres, if you listen to mainly pop and hip hop, this is the one that I would give it the lowest. I would give these an 8 simply because some people are going to want that subwoofer type bass that this pair just doesn't do. It's not what it's aimed at. But if you're going to listen to genres like rock and metal where it's fast or it's chaotic and a lot of things are going on, this is where I would give these a 9. I mean, they're fast, it can keep up with absolutely no issues, and it really makes it fun to listen to those genres. Now, if you listen to easy listening, this is where I give it a 10, especially if you switch it over to the nozzle with the black ring, because vocalists tend to stand out a little bit more, especially, again, female vocalists. There's so much characteristics in vocalists that a lot of other, especially true wireless earbuds, don't pick up on. Now, if you're going to use these for media, again, this is another area I would give these a 10. It is fast, so it's able to keep up with whatever's going on. Dialogue sounds great because the mids are definitely a focus on here, but the treble, you're going to hear a lot of subtle things, and the bass, you're going to be able to feel and hear explosions, but not have it drown everything out. So my overall rating on these are going to be a 9. And really, if you're going to base this from a value standpoint, the fact that these are $79, it's really, really close to a 10 because I think there's some excellent value here. You're not just stuck with the way that it sounds out of the box, and you don't have to have an amp to really drive these. But if you do really want to get the most out of them, it definitely doesn't hurt to use an amp. So in a crowded market, again, when it comes to IEMs, it's just so hard to stand out. The EA500s definitely do that with that replaceable nozzle. The fact that they're under $100 and you're getting the sound signature and you're getting the option of having control over 2 different sound signatures already makes this stand out. I think this is an excellent pair for under $100. This is an easy recommendation for, audiophiles that, want a less expensive pair if they're going to be out and about, or somebody getting into IEMs. I think this is a great way to see what IEMs are capable of. But guys, that's my video on the Simgot EA500s. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Thank you so much for checking out all the other videos. And as always, make sure to stay tuned for more.